Yeah.
All right, let's chat the bells of steel plate loaded cable tower.
Yeah, so last time Jake talked about his selectorized tower, so we talked about bringing on the plate loaded and talking about that with you guys this time. So I'm going to talk about like the positives, the negatives, comparing it to the selectorized tower, and then just talking about like those DIYers out there and how this thing can be used. So in my gym, I have cinder block walls. I didn't want to deal with drilling through the walls and then securing it to the wall. It does need to be secured to the wall, so I basically just tacked up a 2x4 and drilled it in there. It's a really great option for a lot of my accessory work. Jake mentioned last time he could see this being in like one of those top items after barbell, plates, bench, rack that you would add. And I think in a different world, like than how I set up mine, yeah, before dumbbells and stuff like that, like this would be the next option because you can do all your accessories on it. In my gym, it's basically like face pulls because I can, get that trolley arm at the right height for like face pulls. I like doing a lot of those. And then a lot of like bicep curls and weird movements like that. I don't really use it for triceps because I have a selectorized lat pull down tower that I just use for triceps instead. But yeah, it's a really big accessory piece for me and it gets used quite a bit. All right, so I just my takeaways for positives and negatives. Positives first, adds a ton of versatility to your gym. So if you're like a compound movement with your barbell stuff, and then you go to accessories, you can do all your Well, you can do a lot of accessories with this, with all the different like starting points and your 2-to-1 ratio and your double handles. You can get a lot done. Another positive would be how smooth it is compared to other plate loaded options. I sold the Titan Fitness plate loaded tower because I didn't like all the friction that it had with it. And this one is significantly better. I'll just say that. Your ability to add to it and like unique configurations. I've seen online where people have attached these to the back of their rack. I've seen where people have two of them and they use it like a Smith machine. Bell's actually sells a pull-up bar to go in between. You can use it as a squat machine and a functional trainer. So one big positive is how easy it is to add to. And then how well it's priced. It's $349, free shipping. So I don't think you can beat it with how good it is. So that price is awesome. Negatives, those plastic pulleys, there's still some friction there. It's not as smooth as like the aluminum that you'd get with the selectorized tower, but they do have a $140 upgrade. So for an extra $140, you can add aluminum pulleys. I don't know if I would actually end up doing that. It would be better, but I don't know if it's worth. That'd be interesting. Yeah, it's nice to have it there. Yeah, I'll just say that.
Yeah, then it's a totally different price point.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Another negative is like when you want a 1-to-1 pulley ratio and you attach those together, just the amount of friction that you get when you're pulling it, it's definitely not as smooth as using a single handle at a time. So I just end up using one handle, the 2-to-1 ratio. I don't use the 1-to-1 at all. And then, like I said, it needs to be bolted to something. They have a picture where they put a weight horn on the back and they load some 45s. That doesn't look secure to me. I haven't done that, obviously, but bolting it to the wall's fine. But then you're not going to be able to move it around. So there's been times where like I've wanted to have this in a different place, but I'm not going to unbolt it, peel off a 2x4 and move it. So it stays where it's at. So those are the positive and negatives on the plate loaded tower. But comparing it to the selectorized is easier to use. It's much smoother and it's just overall like a superior option. But then you have to think about the price difference. So $349 is the plate loaded option, and then $1,100 for the selectorized option. So you could get almost 3 plate loaded machines for the price of one selectorized. So for a lot of you out there on a budget, or it takes you a while to add a piece to your gym, this plate loaded option is awesome because of that price. So it's worth getting one of these if it fits into your budget. If the selectorized is not a big like purchasing issue for you, you just have a bigger budget, I would definitely go that option. It's a lot better. But one way to do it is to get the plate loaded option and then sell it when you're ready to upgrade, because these things do really well in the used markets. They don't stay long. The Titan one that I had sold extremely quick for like, I think almost 80-90% of what I paid for it originally. So they're really good on the resale value. Lastly, I just want to talk about those people who like to DIY. So I have two people here. So Kaizen, Kyle, his DIY stuff, and then also Matthew Porter. He's been doing a lot of cool stuff with these this exact thing, the bells plate loaded. I have some pictures on here, but Kyle made an awesome belt squat using this. Matthew Porter's done this extension over the top, put in a seat, and it's a lat pull down. It looks awesome. He's also attached a seat and made it into like a leg extension as well. It's like a full machine for him. There's another one where Kyle, I think Matthew did it too, but they put almost like extendable arms on the top to do cable crossovers, because where these points, like the two handles are, they show people doing cable crossovers, but you're going to want it much more spread out. And so they found a way to do that. So some really cool stuff. If you really like Matthew Porter's picture there, or if you go to his Instagram page, he did end up saying he was building the little conversion kit to make that a lat pull down. So he said you can hit him up, and he's actually selling those. So, or just check both those guys out for inspiration. But I think a machine like this for $349, awesome price point to like tinker with if you're one of those people.
Pretty cool. And if I'm someone like Bells of Steel, I am partnering with these guys to bring these products to life, because a lot of innovation here.
Can you imagine that as like just like an upgrade option? Be super cool.
I would. Super cool. Yeah. Especially for selectorized too.
Agreed. Yeah.
I think I recently was at Adams and I used this plate loaded, and I mentioned I had the selectorized option. And honestly, if you're on a budget, I would not save up for the selectorized version. I would just get the plate loaded. Sure, the selectorized one is great. I personally like the fact that I've already moved it like 3 times. So that's been a plus. But if you have a spot that you can dedicate a plate loaded option to, and you're not going to have to move it around, I would almost just go that and maybe get 3 of them. Right. Because it's a pretty solid option. And there is a difference with the aluminum pulleys for sure. But again, it's one of those things where you can upgrade in a year or 2 if you really find it an issue.
Yeah, super cool machine.
Kind of my feedback,
yeah, and bringing in a standalone tower, I think it should be a top item on your list. I think for everything that you can do with it, especially at that price. But yep.